Education is a key priority for Jordan's development agenda. That's why the Jordanian government is working tirelessly with its partners to provide equal access to education for all students, regardless of their background, capacities, and abilities. Although considerable progress has been made in the last years, more effective efforts are needed to realize and secure the implementation of an inclusive education system in Jordan that reaches out to all children. In 2019, the Promoting Quality in Inclusive Education in Jordan Promise program set out its activities to support the government of Jordan in establishing the foundations for an inclusive education system. This is done through mainstreaming inclusive education in national policies, implementing inclusive education measures in pilot schools, strengthening capacities at national, district, and school levels, and carrying out awareness-raising activities at local and national level. The program activities contribute directly to realizing the Sustainable Development Goal 4.
تأتي أهمية برنامج التعليم الدامج لتؤكد على ضرورة تنوع استراتيجيات التعليم ورفع كفاءة المعلمين بما يمكنهم من تقديم الخدمات التعليمية والخدمات التربوية لجميع الطلبة ومراعاة القدرات الطلبة المختلفة من خلال ما يسمى بالتعليم المتميز.
In 2020, the Ministry of Education, jointly with the Higher Council for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, HCD, launched its first inclusive education strategy for the years 2020-2030 that aims to provide accessible and equitable education to all children, particularly children with disabilities. Following the launch of the IES strategy and under the guidance of the Ministry of Education, MOE, all relevant stakeholders agreed on a wider definition of inclusive education, identifying those children from various backgrounds considered to be the most marginalized in the country. This resulted in the release of the Jordan Declaration on Inclusion and Diversity in Education in Jordan.
This declaration was endorsed at the high-level policy dialogue on inclusion and diversity in education. It was in June 2022. This was a big milestone for Jordan. Jordan endorsed the declaration together with the partners, so it's a joint responsibility. This declaration was even brought forward at the UN Transforming Education Summit in September 2022 in New York. And in this UN summit, Jordan presented their national statement of commitment on behalf of His Majesty, and the declaration is a key component of the National Statement of Commitment of Jordan at the Transforming Education Summit.
To translate policy into practice, the program implemented its activities in 30 pilot public schools in Marka, Ajloon, and Al-Karak field directorates, directly targeting over 18,000 students from KG2 to grade 10. The program supported the schools to become more inclusive. Based on a self-assessment each school developed in a participatory way, individual inclusive education action plans based on the Index for Inclusion. These plans respond to the different needs and challenges of the schools. The targeted actions aim to create an inclusive school culture that embraces diversity. After less than 1 year, all 30 schools demonstrated a high level of ownership. Teachers, principals, and students have managed to design and implement a large variety of low-cost measures that significantly enhance the inclusive culture within their schools.
البداية إنه شاركنا في الورشات التعليم الدامج التوعوية من قبل المنظمات المختصة، وبدأنا بنشر فكرة الوعي لدى المجتمع المحلي والمدرسة.
تم إعداد خطة تطويرية تتضمن 4 مجالات، عندنا القيادة ومجال التعليم والتعلم وبيئة الطالب والمجتمع.
من ضمن الأنشطة الداعمة للتعليم الدامج في مدرستنا تم إطلاق مبادرة الكاتب النجيب، وتم اختيار واحد من هذه النصوص.
ثقافة الدمج بصراحة على الصعيد المهني وسعت مداركي وساهمت في تطوير الكثير من المهارات التي كانت مخزونة جواتي، وبسبب الانفتاح أصبحت متطورة أكثر كمهنياً. له قدرة على التخطيط في تنفيذ الأنشطة، له قدرة أكثر على التواصل مع جهات أخرى غير الجهات الداعمة إلي قدرة على تطوير مدرستي للأفضل، قيادة المدرسة بشكل منظم وفق خطة ممنهجة لدمج الطلبة ذوي الإعاقة مع باقي طلبة المدرسة.
This highlights that effective interventions to promote inclusive education can be small-scale and do not require a large amount of financial resources. As a result, more than 90 inclusive measures, most of them focusing on bullying, were implemented in pilot schools and 3 field directorates. In addition to focusing on promoting an inclusive school culture, the program supported the pilot schools with inclusive resources and tools to create a nicer and more inclusive learning environment. In collaboration with the Queen Rania Foundation, reading corners were set up inside schools for grade 1 to 4 to promote a reading culture among children.
صفي كان كتير صراحة حاسس إنهم من الشعب المحظوظة بالمدرسة اللي يعني هم صراحة باختيارهم لتركيب الركن فيه، فهذا الاشي كتير زاد حماسهم للدراسة. نسبة الغياب كتير قلت عندي لأنه أصلاً الركن موجود. نوعية القصص يعني قصص إثرائية بطريقة جميلة جداً، بتناسب الدروس، بتناسب حتى على المستوى الاجتماعي، صار عندهم تثقيف اجتماعي مع أطفال مثلاً ذوي احتياجات خاصة.
أكثر قصة أنا حبيتها هي قصة هذا هو البحر. أكثر قصة حبيتها هي أين ذهب سني.
To ensure mutual learning and support an exchange of experience among schools, 2 communities of practice were carried out in the 3 field directorates. The participation of schools was very high. The inclusive education support teams of the schools showcased their progress and achievements, shared lessons learned, and discussed about future steps. To facilitate access to early childhood education, around 5,000 children that could not find a KG2 place in a public school were offered a place in the Stretched and Adapted Readiness Teaching Program, START. Students between 5 to 6 years of age in 167 schools in over 20 educational field directorates were enrolled in the START program. The children were supported in different areas: physical and mental health, cognitive skills, numeracy and literacy, behavior, religion, social and emotional skills, which improved considerably their readiness for the first grade. As teachers play a major role in creating a positive and inclusive classroom culture, the program collaborated with UNESCO office in Amman to strengthen their capacities.
Teachers are the agent of change. They are, together with the school principal, the people who can lead, innovate at the school level with an all-school approach. So they are very critical in our support. And it's very important in the cascading that they try to mainstream and they try using existing resources in school and trying to work at the classroom level.
Based on this partnership, the capacities of more than 5,200 stakeholders in the education sector, among them teachers, school staff, parents, and students, were developed. In addition, 480 staff members of the MOE and field directorates have received several IE sessions. UNESCO office in Amman has also developed an accredited online course for all teachers and educational personnel, which covers the topics of inclusion and diversity in education, school and classroom management, project-based learning, and innovation and leadership. In addition, the Higher Council for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities conducted trainings with civil society organizations in Amman, Ajloun, and Karak to empower them to take on a stronger advocacy role in their communities, specifically in advocating for the rights of children with disabilities to education.
من أهم آثار تدريبات مؤسسات المجتمع المدني إنهم هم قاموا بتدريب منظمات ومراكز جمعيات ثانية، ولما راحوا زاروا قادة المجتمع كان عندهم طلب بخصوص تأمين جزء من موازنتهم، من موازنة المجالس المحافظات، حتى أنه يكون لدعم المدارس وتهيئة المدارس حتى تكون مدارس دامجة في مختلف مناطق المملكة في الشمال والوسط والجنوب.
144 parents and teachers from 6 different schools in Marka, Ajloon and Al Karak Field Directorates participated in the Parents-Teachers Cooperation Program that was implemented in partnership with Generations for Peace and I Am a Human Society for Rights of People with Disability. The program aimed at fostering cooperation between parents and teachers to enhance learning outcomes for all learners, especially students with disabilities in light of the learning losses following the COVID-19 pandemic. Another 606 beneficiaries were indirectly reached through the program's activities. To promote better understanding on inclusive education, the program collaborated with GOPA to organize community-based activities as well as a nationwide awareness-raising campaign on inclusive education.
We are working with GIZ on this component because it's very important to gain the hearts and minds of all the people that are dealing with education in Jordan. We are working with principals, we are working with teachers, telling them about the advantages of having an inclusive school. And we're also trying to work with parents and even with students to explain to them the advantages of inclusive education and why they should have an inclusive school, why children should go to school with children that have disabilities, because it will enrich not only the lives of the children with disabilities, but also the life of the other children that will be able to be in the same classroom as other peers.
More than 4,500 students, parents, teachers, and principals participated in various activities in the 3 field directorates. Friendship festivals and art activities engaged the students in fun ways. The social media campaign of the project reached more than 32,000 Facebook users over a period of 9 months, during which different content on the rights of persons with disabilities, misconceptions, terminologies, and bullying, amongst others, was shared. For the first time in Jordan, a 2-day conference on the topic of inclusive education in Jordan was held. More than 240 MOE representatives, researchers, teachers, donors, members of the civil society presented and discussed good practices and applied research in the Jordanian education system. As we conclude the first phase of Promise program, we celebrate the achievements we made a reality so far, and we acknowledge the collective efforts of our key partners, educators, students and their families, and communities who have come together to create a more inclusive community in Jordan. Heading on to the next phase.